Hey everybody, welcome back to Let's Talk. My name is John, and today here on the channel, we're going to be talking about 2009's Inglourious Basterds and its brand new Arrow Video 4K Blu-ray that just came out. And it's the week of Quentin Tarantino. We're going to round it off with this Arrow Video 4K Blu-ray release. But before we get into it, let's talk a little bit about the film. So if you don't want to know anything about Inglourious Basterds and you're just here for this 4K Blu-ray review, please make sure you guys skip ahead right now. Inglourious Basterds is written and directed by Quentin Tarantino. It's actually based, I believe, on a 1978 novel, or at least, he took some elements of that and then put his own little Quentin Tarantino spin on it. And this was the first of his, revisionist history films that he put out. He put this, Django Unchained, and then, of course, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is the better of those, but this was a huge deal back in 2009. I was 17 years old. I remember being in high school, and people who weren't even really film fans were excited for Inglourious Basterds. They just got really excited about the violence, so even I went and actually saw this movie in theaters with people who weren't necessarily my friends, but I was excited to see a Quentin Tarantino movie in theaters, and I thought, hey, more Tarantino fans? Why not? And they loved this movie, but I remember walking out pretty disappointed. I always felt like this movie was a little bit uneven. I wanted to spend more time with the bastards.
Johnny!
Yeah!
Guy's German here wants to die for country. Oblige him.
And for Tarantino fans, this film is very special. It introduced us, a lot of Americans, to the great acting that is Christoph Waltz.
Ooh, that's a bingo!
Who won back-to-back Academy Awards in Quentin Tarantino films. He plays Hans Landa in this movie. He would follow it up playing the more hero performance in Django Unchained, both of them earning him an Academy Award, well-deserved. He plays one of the scariest villains ever in this film, right from the opening scene, which is one of the best opening scenes in film history. And it is my favorite scene in this movie, just building all of this tension, all of the emotion. That ridiculous pipe that Hans pulls out looks fantastic, and then that sets up the rest of the film. The girl who escapes at the beginning of the movie, she ends up getting a new life. She ends up running a movie theater. But now it's time for her to seek out her revenge. Quentin Tarantino loves his revenge films. And this time, the revenge is going to be done against the Nazis and Adolf Hitler as well. Adolf Hitler dies in this movie in one of the most violent scenes you'll ever see. I mean, we're picking off rats in a barrel here at the very end. All of these German Nazi fucks, we're shooting them in the theater as it's going to be burning down. And, we got there in a great way. We have two different storylines going on. Brad Pitt is the head of the Inglourious Basterds.
Buongiorno.
He's leading a bunch of Jewish soldiers, or people who used to be German Jewish soldiers, who just want nothing more than to kill Nazis. And I love Aldo Raines, played by Brad Pitt in this movie. I just wish we would have spent more time with him. That's the biggest flaw with this movie, is we move away from characters who I really enjoy, and we put characters in who I don't necessarily enjoy. Like, the big storyline is this young girl running the movie theater, how she's going to get her revenge for her family, and I just didn't feel like her performances that great. She does a good enough job. It's just I'm not as intrigued with that storyline as I am with the Inglourious Basterds and what they're doing. And then, of course, they would end up merging together those storylines in the third act. And the third act of this movie is fantastic. You love seeing them get their revenge on it. And, of course, then the very end of this movie, when Quentin Tarantino is essentially speaking to the camera, when he puts the Nazi symbol into Christoph Waltz's head, you're not going to be wearing that uniform, are you? He's like, well, we got to make sure people know what a piece of shit you are. Wish we could do this in real life with pieces of shit. Mark them. And then it's Brad Pitt looking into the camera saying, this might be my masterpiece.
I think this just might be my masterpiece.
And that's just Quentin Tarantino saying that Inglourious Basterds might have been his masterpiece. And at the time, in 2009, a lot of people would have said that this was Quentin Tarantino's best film. For me, it's always kind of floated near the bottom. Does that mean it's a bad film? Absolutely not. Even Quentin Tarantino's worst films like this and Death Proof, in my opinion, are 7.5, 8 out of 10s. Because Quentin Tarantino knows how to write a film, so the dialogue is always great. The scene in the bar with the 3 and the 3 is iconic. And those little details, it's staring you right in the face about what's going to happen. But everyone's doing such a great job in that scene acting. The tension is building. It looks great. For a movie that came out in 2009, a lot of movies that came out around this era don't look phenomenal, but of course it's a Quentin Tarantino movie. He's paying homage to the stuff he loves. He knows how to shoot a movie, and this movie absolutely looks beautiful. And a lot like Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2, a lot of this stuff is over-exaggerated, hard to believe, but you're not supposed to believe this. It's an alternate take on history. We're just there to see a great revenge tale, and you will see a great revenge tale. And all the supporting actors do a great job as well. It's not just Brad Pitt and Christoph Waltz. Michael Fassbender pops up in this movie and gives a phenomenal performance, as Michael Fassbender always does. See Steve Jobs if you haven't seen that yet. And you're going to leave this movie with a smile on your face and having had a blast. I just have always felt like I'm a little bit disappointed by this movie. I wish there was a little bit better pacing to it, which is funny because Quentin Tarantino's known for his pacing. I just feel like there's a lot of ups and downs in this movie. It just never 110% worked for me, but I still run back to this almost every single year when I'm doing my Quentin Tarantino rewatches. Sometimes I will skip Inglourious Basterds and Death Proof just because, I've seen them enough, but I thought, hey, this Arrow Video 4K Blu-ray, what a great excuse to revisit Inglourious Basterds. Maybe I'll enjoy it more this time around. And just like I always do, I enjoyed the movie overall, but I would never say that this is in my top 5 favorite Quentin Tarantino movies. But hey, we're also here to talk about that Arrow Video 4K Blu-ray, and let's talk about that right now.
If this is it, old boy, I hope you don't mind if I go out speaking to kings.
So here it is. This is the Arrow Video version of Inglourious Basterds on 4K Blu-ray. If anyone knows anything about Inglourious Basterds and its 4K Blu-ray releases, Universal in 2021 put out a 4K Blu-ray. I actually bought that 4K Blu-ray because I'm a Quentin Tarantino shill, and even though you guys just heard me say I don't really love Inglourious Basterds that much, my love for Tarantino would not allow me not to buy that 4K Blu-ray, but I remember comparing it to the Blu-ray at the time, this Blu-ray right here, and I wasn't blown away by it. I didn't think it was a huge upgrade to that 4K Blu-ray, and knowing about this film, it's a 2K intermediate, which means it's upscaled to 4K Blu-ray. People were upset at the time because, this movie shot on film. It should be a downgrade to 4K Blu-ray if you use the original camera negative. But for some reason, this was the way they chose to go. Quentin Tarantino approves this. This is the way he wants to do it, and just like we've talked about in the past, if that's what the director wants, that's what we do. For whatever reason, this is how he likes his film to look, and that is just fine. I just didn't love that Universal 4K Blu-ray. Now, given in 2021 when that came out and I had this Blu-ray and that 4K Blu-ray and I was comparing them, I didn't have the best of equipment at the time, and that might have misled me a little bit. In 2021, I had a Sony, I want to say it was a 950H TV. I still have that in my bedroom, and I didn't even have a dedicated 4K Blu-ray player. I was watching everything at that time on my Xbox Series X, which you can see right here, which is not the best compared to like the Sony X800 and the Panasonic 820. A designated 4K Blu-ray player is always going to be the better option, so watching that at the time, not on an OLED TV, might have not really stood out to me, but I did get rid of that 4K Blu-ray, so I can't compare that to this Arrow Video version 4K Blu-ray, but if you were to compare this Arrow Video to that previously released Blu-ray, it is a huge jump. But I'm getting ahead of myself because Arrow Video broke out the fine giant of the fat boxes here. You come underneath, just ties right into the film. If you're a fan of Inglourious Basterds, as far as the packaging goes and all the goodies inside, you'll be eating good in the neighborhood. I mean, right here, you get the alternate artwork on the front. You can have that original movie poster and make it look like the Universal 4K Blu-ray. I personally like the new artwork, so I'm going to keep it like this. They made this look like an old 1940s film magazine. Love this attention to detail. This is great. And of course, Arrow Video, great paperwork, great paper stock. Love that poster. And then, of course, I love this, the 3 and the 3, putting it on, a coaster. I love that. One thing about Tarantino people don't bring up, I always think about the shot in Django Unchained when they're drinking in the bar, him and Christoph Waltz, and they wipe the beer off with that little hand thing. Just love those little attention to details that Quentin Tarantino finds, and of course the exterior box. I'll put that all back together in a second. And what's everyone here for? How are the visuals, the audio, and the extras? You get a 2-disc set there. You also get some postcards in there. I didn't show you guys, but you get some postcards in there if you're into that kind of stuff. And all of your extras are going to be on that second disc. And as an extras junkie, man, that is awesome. I counted 6 brand new extras, 2 video essays, there's an audio commentary track, and 4 new interviews conducted by Arrow Video. Can't say a bad thing about the extras because there's also the previously released extras that you had on the Blu-ray, all thrown on here as well. No making-of documentary, but still you get some great interviews. And one thing I want to point out, so the movie that they're seeing in the film, that's a big part of this. How do we get everybody in this one theater so this girl can take out her revenge? And that movie is Nation's Pride. And you can actually watch the entire film. It's a short film. It's like 6 minutes or 7 minutes long. And you can watch that film in the extras. It was previously released. But you could also watch a short making of for that movie. I just love that. You know, it's a mockumentary, absolutely a great time. You can find that in the archival extras, and there's also plenty of great other archival extras. There are so many extras that they had to put it on a whole nother disc. And our video has fit a lot of extras on one disc, but there was just too many in here. So as an extras junkie, I was really happy with the amount of extras. Even though it's not one of my favorite films, I can't say a bad thing about the extras. That was great. Now, the audio is a DTS HD Master Audio 5.1, just like we've been talking about lately. Very similar to Christopher Nolan. For some reason, Tarantino likes those 5.1s. He likes the mixes. This is a good mix. But my biggest issue with it is the starting volume. You had to raise the volume a lot with this one. And then sometimes when the action breaks out, it was just a little bit too loud, and I had to keep adjusting my volume because my wife was sleeping. That was a little bit frustrating, but still, everything is mixed pretty well. I just wish that the volume was done a little bit better when it comes to certain tracks, but still a pretty damn good audio track. Now, as far as those visuals go, this is what everybody wants to know. Now, I don't have that Universal 4K to compare it to, but when you compare that previously released Blu-ray to this 4K Blu-ray, it is night and day. You could actually see the HDR doing their work. It really did impress me. Maybe I was completely wrong about that Universal 4K Blu-ray, and this is the exact same scan. Not 100% sure, but this does feel very similar to me as the Silence of the Lambs 4K Blu-ray, which a lot of people didn't like that Kino Lorber 4K Blu-ray, including myself. Didn't feel like it was a big jump from the Blu-ray, but they went in there and they clearly adjusted a lot of the colors, made it a little bit brighter in spots. The highlights all look a little bit better, especially like in a movie like this, when you look at like certain parts in the bar and like how the way it's lit and how like certain light is coming through. You know, now that stuff looks great because of high dynamic range where it used to look pretty flat. Biggest like disappointing thing might be the little details, and this is where you go from a 2K to a 4K scan, is like, you know, those little details when you get really close to someone might not be as sharp. Sometimes the deep blacks weren't being hit like I was hoping for in certain scenes. Certain scenes looked absolutely stunning. So it's not the world's biggest jump from Blu-ray to 4K Blu-ray, but it is a noticeable jump if you have that previously released Blu-ray. Now, I can't say for sure if you have that Universal 4K Blu-ray if it's worth an upgrade to this Arrow Video 4K Blu-ray. That's really going to come down to you. That Universal 4K Blu-ray at the time of this recording is $17, much cheaper than this 4K Blu-ray, which I got in the Barnes & Noble sale for $30. You know, again, I kind of got FOMO on there, and I'm a big Quentin Tarantino guy, and I always get kind of fooled, but I do not regret buying this because they really did load this up with so many new extras. The scan itself is better than my previously released Blu-ray. The audio, yes, it's the same, but it's still pretty damn good. And, of course, you get the Arrow Video fat packaging. So if you're into Arrow Video's collector's editions, I really think you'll be very happy with this. But it's going to really come down to how do you feel about that Universal 4K Blu-ray. If you're happy with that, there's absolutely no reason for you to upgrade to this unless, you know, you want those new extras. That's really what it's going to come down to. If you're somebody who's like me who doesn't necessarily love Inglourious Basterds, maybe wait for a sale. There's a couple Barnes & Noble 50% off sales through the year. Arrow Video will have their own sales. Pick it up then if you really want to see what this 4K Blu-ray looks like for yourself. Now, if you're just a big Quentin Tarantino fan, you were going to buy this anyway, you know, you might be pretty happy with it. And overall, I have to say I am very happy with this release of Inglourious Basterds on 4K Blu-ray. And if I was going to give it a score of 1 to 10, I'm going to go right up there with what I did with Jackie Brown and give this one a 9 out of 10. The visuals might not be as good as Jackie Brown on 4K Blu-ray, but, you know, the extras do match up, and also the extremely nice Arrow Video packaging kind of helps to push this one over the top. But guys, it's also Friday. That means it's time for our digital code giveaway. In every single video that we do here on Friday, we ask you guys 2 digital code giveaway questions. All you got to do is answer 1 in the comment section. As long as you do that, you come back to Tuesday's video where we'll put your name on a magic wheel. We'll spin that bad boy 2 times, and the 2 names it lands on, they'll have their choice. The digital codes that you see on your screen before you today. And today I'm going to ask you guys a couple Quentin Tarantino questions. What is your favorite Quentin Tarantino film? And what is your favorite Quentin Tarantino character? Leave those answers in the comment section below. Now, not everybody might be a Quentin Tarantino fan, and that is fine. Just let me know in the comment section you want to be entered into the digital code giveaway, and you don't have to answer those questions. And just don't forget to come back to Tuesday's video to see if you won. And guys, while you guys are down there commenting, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share this video if you could. We also have channel membership, so if you want to become a friend of the channel a producer for the channel like John Doe Juggalo, or even a channel director like Frank from Frank's Media Reviews and Mr. Smelly Potato, you guys can look for all that information in the description below. But if you got no money to throw away, guys, don't worry about it. We just hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, get out in those streets, tell your friends about us, and then we'll be seeing you around.